Good evening and welcome to the budget workshop. This is night 3. It is April 23rd, 2024, and it is 6 p.m. Call this workshop to order. First order of business that we're going to have is we're going to hear from some of the nonprofits that we asked to come and speak. So we're going to start off with the Chamber of Commerce. I believe Patrick is here.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Alderman. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Patrick Kamak, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Economic Development for the Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce. We at the Chamber really value our partnership with Laverne. And tonight I just wanted to spend 2 minutes highlighting some of the ways we support the Laverne community. 3 ways what I wanted to talk about tonight: economic development, workforce development, and tourism. So first, economic development, which is my department. Our team works tirelessly to grow jobs and investment in Laverne. Recent successes in the last couple of years include relocating the IC headquarters from California to Laverne, the large investment of Cardinal Health in their facility at Park 24 of a 400,000 square foot building, Amazon, filling in multiple buildings, and hundreds of other new jobs in the past few years that we've worked to recruit at industrial parks such as Park 24, High Point 24, and Center Point. One statistic that's fantastic for City of Laverne is from 2008 to 2023, jobs increased in Laverne 15%, outpacing the national growth of 3.6%. So fantastic success here in Laverne. I personally attend the quarterly Laverne Economic Development Advisory Committee meetings in this room every quarter. We work extensively with your economic development team of Tom Broker and Sarah Shelby on economic development projects, and consistently, talk and just see how we can support the Laverne team in creating investment here, both on the retail strategy and on the job strategy. We also occasionally attend retail recruitment conferences with the Laverne team and collaborate to support Laverne's efforts that way. Tourism, the second point. Every year, our tourism, the Convention and Visitors Bureau is also out of the Chamber of Commerce, so we have a tourism group of 4 to 5 people that are working on bringing tourism into the county. So we attract 5 million visitors every year to Rutherford County. That has an economic impact of $750 million to the county and generates $28 million in taxes just off that impact. So as Laverne builds its retail successes and its hospitality successes, we only expect that to improve. Third point, workforce development. This is one of our greatest success stories here in the county. We have a team of 3 people here at the Chamber of Commerce that works on building workforce pipeline at our educational institutions, so our K through 12 schools, our community colleges, TCATs, and university. So a lot of that work, most of that work is in the K through 12 system, so we consistently are working with the schools, the elementary, middle, and Laverne High School here to work on preparing our students for careers. That's really where our focus is preparing our students for careers, both with soft skills, also helping them get credentials in high school, and making sure that they can stay here and work here if they want, and also that our companies have that workforce here locally that can grow. And so those are 3 areas I really wanted to highlight. We do a lot more work here to support the business community and the community of Laverne. But it's an honor to work with your team. You have one of the most professional teams in the country, and we appreciate your partnership. And so we're always here if you need us. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Anyone have any questions?
I guess it was last week, we toured the new trade school here in Laverne. Do you all do any work with them as far as recruiting for the school and then getting the apprentices out into the job community?
That's a great question. I can ask our workforce development team if they work. They do a lot. They primarily work with the TCATs, with their Tennessee College of Applied Technology, our community colleges. But they are aware of the school, and I think they have connected with them. I'm just not sure how often they do. But that's exactly the type of work that they're interested in growing those credentials with those skilled trades. So that's exactly what they're focused on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You spoke of three.
Dennis, can you talk into the microphone?
One was Cardinal Health, one was Amazon, and what was that other one?
Icy, the beverage company. Yeah, Icy. Mm-hmm.
Patrick, not to take away from you, Tom, could you come up and just talk about how your department, because your department's going to work with the chamber more than anybody else. So can you just talk about that relationship and that partnership?
Sure. First of all, again, going off of what we spoke 2 weeks ago, whatever, Alderwoman Hobbs asked what was their number one benefit. Again, if I had to point to one, it is the job creation, but Patrick also hit on workforce development. With the amount of jobs, the amount of industry we have here in Laverne, jobs are changing. The jobs that we grew up with, or older people like Vice Mayor No, or
Don't say it. Don't say it.
jobs that they were used to may not be around. Jobs are changing. They need to be retrained. New skill sets need to be learned. So I think that's another thing that they certainly provide us. And I'm only kidding, sir. I was just, your head was down. You weren't listening. So, but they offer that to our industry, which can only help, obviously, retain them. When it comes to recruiting, again, it is sad that you won't be with us at the ICSC Vegas show, which, as we talked about, is the biggest one. But I think they're going to refocus their time, resources, and energy, money on the Southeast show. We've worked together with various brokers. As Patrick talked about, we bounced ideas or thoughts off of each other, whether it be at the Economic Advisory Committee. You also host one quarterly that we attend. Anything they're there. And I want to say this. You go back 10 years, as we talked about, we did not feel we were getting the level of service from the Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce that we are now. I can assure you they are number one that we call when there's something local or questions or we need more bodies or more resources. And Paul and Patrick have always been there, and their team. So.
And Patrick, I know you talked about national numbers. Do you have the numbers that you spoke about at the last EDAC meeting about the state, Rutherford County, and Laverne when it comes to jobs?
It may take me a second to find it. I don't have it printed
So,
out.
well,
but
just we can just
But-
summarize it that Laverne was beating out both the state numbers and the county numbers.
They were, yes, and I can follow up with those numbers exactly. But yes, Laverne had grown 15% of job growth in those 5 years. The county was somewhere in the 10 to 12 range, I believe, and then the nation was down by 3 to 4%. So you're right, Laverne have been out. It's been a very popular industrial market. And what we hear from clients and from real estate team is that the city's very easy to work with, the workforce is very strong, and it's just a great business environment overall. And so I think that those are three things that have really helped the job growth.
And are y'all going to be involved with recruiting for the new Co-op 24 development?
Yes, we're very excited about that. I think that Laverne has also been really, progressive in thinking about commercial real estate, and not to even mention all the design ordinance improvements, thinking about future retail and that type of commercial investment, but especially in the industrial development, these developments like the co-op and the new co-op is going to be lead to a lot of jobs, a lot of new property tax, and so commend the city on those progressive planning for those jobs and that commercial investment.
Okay.
So, as I've said over and over and over, I have to buy a lot of stock in their department heads. So I'll put Tom on the spot. I'm assuming, Tom, that you think that this Chamber of Commerce thing is a very good thing for our city.
Absolutely, sir. I mean, again, they're part of the team, and we're gonna make do however we have to do it, but they sure make it easy to, again, share resources and thoughts and their many years of experience and expertise, so.
And I guess my last question would be, do you have pull with the Chamber of Commerce when next time we go to one of them dinners, they can add a little more food to the plate?
Maybe we'll get you a
Bruce,
second
would
plate.
you agree with that, Bruce?
I'm staying out of that one.
Does anyone have any other questions for Patrick? Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Thomas.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man.
Good to see you. Thanks.
Next, we're going to go to Club Knockout. I believe Candace and Robert are both here. They can come on up.
It's just me, sorry.
She's leaving you solo, Robert.
It's all right. I'm a big boy. Good evening, Mayor, Board of Mayor, and Vice Mayor and Alderman. My name is Robert Crutcher. I'm the head coach and president and director of Club Knockout here in Laverne. Just a little history. Club Knockout originated in Laverne in the late 80s. We moved from Laverne to Smyrna in the 90s, 2009 or 7. We came back to Laverne, been back in Laverne since then. I took the program over in 2016, fully in 2023. But we wrote this paper, so I'm going to read it now. Club Knockout has been successful in reducing the negative idle time for the youth in the community by providing providing boxing as a positive outlet. Our program is important to our community because it teaches the youth the importance of work ethic, physical fitness, life skills, and discipline. This program also helps the youth by providing educational assistance, life skills coaching, volunteering opportunities, and mentoring. Myself and Candace volunteer our time at the program for our community, for the youth in our community to keep the program going and give the community a positive outlet. It says we require all of our members to participate in volunteer opportunities to give back to the city of Laverne. We work with Miss Kelly, Miss Kathy,
Melindy.
Melindy.
Yes, we work with her to provide volunteers for opportunities that she has for us or where she needs us to go and help out at the city events. We're not only open to the youth from 8 and up, but in skills in boxing, we take several of our youth all over the country. Right now, we currently have 3 boxers in national rankings. We have one boxer that's ranked number 3 in the country. He's 17 in his age and weight. He's ranked number 3 in the nation. We have a young lady, she's ranked number 6, and another young man who's ranked number 7 out of 5,500 athletes that compete nationally or across the whole country, basically. So a couple of the tournaments that we went to in 2023 was the 2023 National Silver Gloves, the 2023 USA Boxing National Championships, the Junior Olympics and Summer Festival, the USA Boxing Women Championships, and the 2024 Olympic Trials. Yeah, that's it. Those are some of the tournaments we went to. Do you guys have any questions?
Open it up. Does anyone have any questions?
What's the age of the kids? From what age to what age?
From 8 and up. So if you wanted to come up there, Mr. Waldron, and work out and train, we would train you, and I'd teach you how to box. So I started with kids, yes, sir, at 8. And we age out of at 18. So
Robert, I see you're asking more money. Can you tell us what the
cause is.
what's the money for?
So our rent increases every so often, and we're hit with I think it's $11,000 increase in rent this year. So that's the reason of us asking for more money to assist with our rent for our program, for our building.
And you talked about Kathy from Parks and Rec and them calling on your groups to come out and volunteer and help. I'm assuming there won't be no questions asked if y'all need to bring the kids out. You know, if they ask you to bring the kids out and help with parking and working concessions or doing things, that's always on your list.
Yes, sir. We never turn down the work or the opportunity to help the community, because the community does help the kids. And I tell them, it's like scratching your back, Steve. If your back is scratching, I'm gonna scratch your back, right? Then what you gonna do if my back is itching, right, or whatever? You're not gonna scratch my back. I'm gonna look at you funny.
So Tom Broker called me out. I'm gonna ask Tom, can you not stop these people from charging these ridiculous rents? That's crazy, man. It's crazy. People can do it, though.
Robert, besides training youth on boxing, do y'all do anything else with the students?
Yes, we attend certain camps or go to camps. We this weekend I had a young man who just wanted to talk, and he needed somebody to talk to for. We drove 3.5 hours in one direction, and I don't think he quit talking the whole time. And so it was one direction. So it's 7 hours we was together, and he talked the whole time. He just had some stuff going on. Just to say, that's one part that I'll partake in, is being there for the young people if they need somebody to call on or somebody to talk to. But we do. Yeah, we teach the kids how to do all kind of stuff, like between working with hand tools. We just did a workshop. We didn't really have a whole lot of media on it, but where we had a couple of guys come in from different trades, and they did some concrete work, and some of the guys came in and helped out, and we built a wall in the gym to go up the stairs. And we showed some skills with hand tools and woodworking that way. Is that what your question? Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Just looking to see what else, if y'all do anything else with the
Yes, sir.
youth beyond the boxing.
Yes, sir.
So
Last year, we had a couple of groups that come before us wanting money, and every time we ask them, what else are you doing? We don't have time, or we're not, Does Club Knockout do other things to help raise money for them?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We intend to host a cookout fundraiser this summer, as well as our chili fundraiser that we host annually, biannually, depending on circumstances. As well as boxing events. Right now, I'm having a hard time with a doctor. We need an MD or a DO to host an event. So I'm struggling with that. If any of you guys know a doctor, a MD or a DO that would be willing to help, we will pay for their services for the day. Just so you know. But that's what I need to host boxing events. But we also, a couple of years back, we did a bucket brigade. I plan on having some car washes this summer as well to raise funds because we have to.
If If I could make a suggestion, I've heard it, of course, we used to do it, Tom and myself, we've all done it, but those up there at Stones River Road and them other places, standing out there with, what do you call them things? They got
Buckets.
Buckets.
No, they're not buckets. What they called, Tom?
Roadblock.
Roadblock. There we go. Yeah, roadblock. I knew they had a.
A different.
Chief, that's why you're here.
Yeah.
The other one.
Of course, now you'd have to come before the
There was-
board and ask us for that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, they put an application through admin.
Yeah, that's a big money maker. We used to make a lot of money.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Candace, anything you want to add? Please.
Knew we'd get you up there.
We have a Blackman High School teacher that volunteers her services anytime, every day of the week that gym is open, or any other time a student may need assistance with any subject in tutoring. So we also offer that. If anyone's struggling or they just need a little help, we have a lot of kids that we're just studying for end-of-year exams and TCAP, so we also have that available.
I didn't know that.
Awesome. Any other questions? Thank you both.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to go over to the Industrial Development Board. We've got Graham Coates from there. And I know the first workshop, I think I asked about 9 different times if anyone had any questions. And then at our second one, there were lots of questions on the Industrial Development Board. So I've asked Mr. Coates to join us. And Graham, can you just kind of explain what the Laverne IDB is and what's going on with it?
Of course, Mayor. Evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor Norban. Graham Coates, I sit on the Laverne Planning Commission as Secretary. Boza, Chairman, Economic Development, and tonight I'm here representing the IDB Board. The IDB Board is conversed with 7 members from the city, and the concept of the IDB was to bring in additional revenues to the city via sales tax, as well as economic development and employment. And I'm here to answer any of the questions that you may have.
Open it up. Does anyone have any questions?
Has the IDB board got some ideas about property they're looking at, or?
Yes, sir. We've got lots of ideas going on between the 7 members. Everyone's got different ideas, and we're pulling from the economic development people, as well as local developers as well that have some ideas. Sitting on the Planning Commission for many years, as you all know, one of the frustrating things that I run into is that if a developer owner comes to the Planning Commission and requests to put a certain building up, although I might disagree with it, if they meet all the requirements, state statute requires us, we must pass it. With the IDB owning the property, we then can control the property and decide what we want to go there and what we don't want to go there. And that's just here to assist the city of Laverne in getting where it needs to be.
Graham, can you, because I know y'all have closed on some property, can you talk about what the benefits of that would be to the city?
So we've now closed on the 77-acre tract on the other side of 24, and the plan there is to go out to listen to developers and ourselves to figure out what's the best for the city for it to go there. In addition, we can basically donate the land to put Blair Road West has been planned, put forward. We can put that into position, and then from there we can potentially put in a big box grocery store, which would be the first thing I think everyone's looking for out there, and we've had discussions with some people on that. And from there, some add-ons, some additional retail, which will bring in additional sales tax revenue, property tax, and employment.
And then I know you and I have talked, and I know I've talked to Chief Beasley, who's astutely involved. But we've talked about that location being ideal for a new fire station, if that's possible, as far as the actual land. Is that a possibility?
That's a possibility with us planning on putting Blair Road West in to connect up to Carruthers. That junction, for the chief saying, is would be a good junction to put a new fire station. It meets all the requirements for the rings as far as them accessing fire to the upcoming homes in that area, and I think he would look forward to having something in that area.
Chief, is that right as far as the rings and that being an ideal location?
Yes, sir. I have a response study. The previous location that we talked about in the past that was proposed is a tad bit better by response times within the polygons or crop circles or rings. However, I think the stop sign or the red light, the traffic signal that would be there would be more beneficial and quicker response time. The polygon says one thing, but our actual response times would be something a little different. And I don't believe that's a state highway there, so it's possible that we could work through signal maintenance to get a control of that red light. So if we could turn that to four-way all red, then that would increase our response times or decrease our response times. So to me, that's an ideal location there. Like I said, it's just outside that comparison to the other one, but I think that traffic signal could speed that response up versus coming out of a neighborhood.
Okay.
How much room does that take up out there? What you're thinking? So we got 7 acres?
Yes.
77 acres.
77.
Oh, 77.
77
I'm
acres.
sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you said 7.
No, I will say them as far.
I need 7.
Let me put my. Okay, well, never mind. I thought he said 7 acres. Okay, good.
Mr. Coates and myself have talked about 3+ acres for that, and that would, because that station is going to be more than a fire station, and Chief Mays and I have talked about this, potentially having a fire station there, possibility of having a Rutherford County ambulance run out of that fire station as a mutual agreement between us and them. We've also spoke about having a police substation down there, so it'd be office space for police officers, so they don't have to come all the way across town to file a report or do something there. So I think it would be more than just a fire station in that neighborhood, so I think it'll have a significant impact on the residents in that area.
Does anyone have any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Coates.
Thank you.
Next, we have Possibility Place.
Hello. Thank you all for having me this evening. My name is Jackie Miller, and I'm the Development Director for Possibility Place. We are a nonprofit for Rutherford County. We are located in Murfreesboro currently. We are renting space from Baptist Church on Main Street in Murfreesboro and hoping to get our own location, one day when we find land and or another building to perhaps modify. But we've been around since 2014. We work with adults that have intellectual and developmental disabilities. So they age out of the public school system at 22. And studies show that over 85% of them, go back to a home or to a life where they are sitting in front of a TV or sitting in front of video games, and they're not engaged in our community. And so we wanted to do something that would continue to engage them. And so we work with adults from the age of 18, if they want to leave public school early, to we don't have a limit. Our oldest one right now is 63. So we currently have 45 individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We call them our pals because, some of them are older than me or the same age as me. So we call them our pals. And we work with them during the program that not only provides respite to the parents and to the caregivers, but gives them a safe place to go. We continue with math skills. We continue with reading. We provide vocational skills. We give back to the community. We volunteer at least 2 times at Feed the Children here in Laverne, so we are giving back to the community. We want to look for more places to engage with and to volunteer at, because I think it's important to teach them about giving back to the community and not expecting anything in return. We provide social skills where they can build friendships and be around other adults that are accepting of them. And vocationally, we help them find jobs in the community. And so one of the things that we're trying to do right now is build our vocational program up and engage with different employers throughout Rutherford County to hire some of our adults on a part-time basis, because they do have a lot of skills and they provide a lot to the community. I was at a public meeting today, and Governor Lee spoke, and he was talking about how Tennessee is one of the 14 states that no longer institutionalize adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So there are 36 states that still institutionalize them when they know there's a better life of them being a part of the community and giving back in the community and engaging in the community. And so that's what we're trying to do at Possibility Place. We want to increase our services and expand. You know, we work with the transitional school here in Rutherford County, but would like to have more hands-on in Laverne and Smyrna and some of the outliers outside of the city. And so that is why I'm here this evening, is to speak to you all about our program and what we have to offer. The numbers are increasing. Since 2021, every 1 in 44 children were born with autism. It has increased here in 24 to 1 in every 36. So the numbers are increasing. Unfortunately, intellectual and developmental disabilities is not going away. They are living longer and outliving their caregivers and their parents, and they don't have another program to go to once they leave the public school, except for there's very few to offer anything. And so I'm proud to stand here for Possibility Place and talk to you about our services and how we'd like to expand those to include even more adults.
Does anyone have any questions?
What would be an example of someone that you would be helping as far as?
So typically somebody with a diagnosis of IDD, so that's an intellectual and developmental disability, is someone with an IQ primarily under 70 or below. And it ranges. Some are verbal, some are nonverbal, but we are teaching them skills to help them to be able to be as independent as they possibly can, without somebody having to continually have to oversee them. So we have a lot with Down syndrome. We have a lot of adults with autism, cerebral palsy. It runs the gamut where we are.
And you're all volunteers?
No, we do have very small salaries, but that's not the purpose of us doing that, obviously. To be able to run it, there are some great programs in Davidson County. We're the only one in Rutherford County, and we have the lowest tuition cost is $33 per day, but we do not turn away any of our adults. If there's someone that needs that services or a parent that needs this service, we're going to do tuition assistance with them.
So you get paid by the state for them?
No, we don't take state funding. We are state licensed, but we do not take state funding.
So all the small salaries, as you call them, come out of the $33 a day?
Well, that doesn't even, our budget is $431,000. That was sent along with some of the paperwork, but no, most of ours is from fundraising. That's how we have to raise our money to run this program.
What type of fundraising events do you have?
We have a golf scramble. We have one at Cedar Crest actually this Thursday, if anybody would like to golf. We have a Night of Possibilities where our adults do a Christmas program in December. And then we also have Possibility that we put on here in Smyrna, a bowling fundraiser that we do every year.
So you've been around since 2014?
Yes.
And you stay in a church?
We were an experienced church, and we weren't paying rent at all there, but they're really big and outgrown us. So we've moved to First Baptist this past fall, and we have to pay rent now. So, but we're hoping to get our own facility. We have already saved funding for that and hoping to have a capital campaign once we find the land or a facility that we can redo.
So this is the first time they've ever been before us?
Yes.
You go before the other cities in Rutherford County?
I've been in front of Smyrna, and of course, I wrote the Rutherford County grant, but they haven't, I have not heard from them yet. I don't think they've announced anything. I was just hired a year ago, so this is all new and the fundraising's not new, but the grant writing is, yes.
So would GNRC, they wouldn't help with that? Okay.
No.
I was just trying to think of other opportunities for you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You said your budget's $431,000 annually?
Yes.
What's most of y'all's funding comes from?
Fundraisers. Yes, fundraisers is the majority. Very little from grant funding, but donations, private foundations, and fundraising.
Okay, thank you so much. Ms.
Thank
Miller.
you. I've got some pamphlets here. I'm going to hand to Phyllis if you all would like to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then next, we're going to move on to the Laverne Housing. I think we may have a few people here from that group.
Chuck is going to pass out this presentation to you. That'll make sure that I keep it at 5 minutes. Actually, everything that I'm going to say, you'll be able to physically look at it. So good afternoon, Mayor Jason Cole, Vice Mayor Steve No, Alderman Dennis Waldron, and Alderman Carol Haas. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, you did. Very
Oh,
good.
praise God. Okay. My name is Brenda Bryant, and I serve currently as the chairperson of the board for the Laverne Housing Authority. We have 5 members on that board, and we're excited to be here today to present this request to you and to let you see the important work and also the important strides that we've made in just 1 year. If you turn to the first page, you'll see what is included in there, and I think that'll answer all your questions. We have the needs statement and the current availability statement that we have. I have the 501c3 approval, which we've gotten, praise the Lord, this year. The business prospectus, which is basically just a summary of what we have done for our business plan. The budget request, we itemized that out. The Board of Directors adopted mission statement, the resolution from the Laverne mayor and the city of Laverne when the Housing Authority was created, and my current resume, which will share some of my background and how I'm able to lead this group. But you can see on the second page where it talks about the need for senior housing in Laverne and the current status. As you can see, in Laverne, we have 1 senior living facility for people ages 62 and older. They have a 2-year waiting list, okay? And they can sign up for the waiting list. In Smyrna, we have the Smyrna Housing Authority. They have a 2 to 4 year waiting list. Nancy's Place, which is not a subsidized unit, from my understanding, is private, but they've currently even just shut down taking applications until 1/2/2025. And so they're not accepting applications at all. But below that, you'll see our reason for being so persistent about creating senior housing here in Laverne, because there's such a need in Rutherford County. Availability of affordable senior housing is consistently becoming out of reach for many of our seniors because of lack of availability. And according to the state of senior housing, our seniors are now the emerging homeless and displaced population. I'm sure as you drive around, you see so many seniors now that are actually homeless. I just saw on Facebook how there was a lady who was living in the area over there by Kroger. If I'm not mistaken, she was a senior here in the Laverne area. And so Laverne is in a good position to address this growing need in our community through the mission of the local Laverne Housing Authority. The mission of the Laverne Housing Authority is to build affordable, Vice Mayor Steve, affordable, okay?
Yeah, I don't want to hear none of
I
that
know,
senior living
I'm just
stuff.
emphasizing that
Yeah.
for you. We have this going, we know. Affordable senior housing and provide support services to our seniors to prevent displacement and homeless population. Establishing partnerships and collaborating with community and business stakeholders will pave the way for the future development of affordable senior housing. So that's the need, and that's what we're doing here at the Laverne Housing Authority. If you turn the page, on page 2, you'll see a copy, so you don't hear me just telling you this myself, but you see for yourself that we have a copy of our IRS 501c3 status that was approved. Thank you, Bruce. I want to make sure you see that. Okay? Now, if you turn the page to page 3, this is our business prospectus, and all it is a summary of the business plan that we have done, and that took a lot of work. But anyway, our goal is strictly to build affordable, Vice Mayor Steve, senior housing in Laverne, Tennessee, provide support and wraparound services for seniors in Laverne, and to partner with support services and community resources to access services for our seniors. And our business model is not the Murfreesboro Housing Authority. It is the Smyrna Housing Authority. That is the business model that we're using. Our advisory team, we've developed an advisory and mentoring team who have agreed to work with us, people who have years and years of experience to doing what we are proposing to do here today. Eddie Lattimore, who is the Executive Director for Affordable Housing in Nashville, Tennessee. Tony Woodham, who's over Woodbine Community Organization, and they just built that Jefferson project on Old Nashville Highway. They're all very dear and good friends of mine. Nathaniel Duke, who is with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, so that we can tap in on the resources there. And Tom Williams with Cry Like Realtors in Smyrna. He's agreed, affiliate broker, to be part of that advisory committee. And also THDA, they have two, but I don't think we need them at this point, but we will solicit their participation at some point. The funding for the project that we're talking about, we're looking at the HUD Section 202 Supportive Housing for the Elderly program, in which nonprofits can vie for that money. The THDA tax credit program, we're looking at foundation, banks, in particular stakeholders in the community who have to fulfill those Community Reinvestment Act credits. They have to do that if they're doing a certain amount of business in the community. So we've tapped into the banks, we've tapped into regions. We're getting ready to apply for a grant from First Tennessee right now, and also any other donations which we've had. People who want to donate. The project team, development team, right now, we're completing the budget, but of course, the project is going to be land-driven, so we got to secure the land. So we're recruiting for that. And then the site control, so we're pursuing potential sites right now currently. If you turn the page, you'll see the Laverne Housing Authority 2024 budget that we itemized out, which came up to like $27,290 that we're actually requesting from the city, and you can see how that's itemized out. So when we get to the point where you can ask questions or whatever, I'll be able to explain all of those. If you turn to the next page, page 5 is our mission statement to provide, and this is the one that the board actually agreed on. We worked very hard for this, to provide decent, safe, and sanitary housing for people in the city of Laverne and surrounding areas who are at least 60 years of age, and to utilize all available resources to maximize the social and economic opportunities of our residents in a professional, compassionate, and non-discriminatory manner. And that's actually what we took from the Charter of Incorporation that was done years and years ago, and you can see that in the resolution on page 6. And the next page is just my resume as the chairperson, so you can see that actually I have 35 years of experience in housing and community development. I started straight out of college in terms of working for a HUD-approved housing counseling agency. I received the Spirit of Detroit Award in 1977 from the Detroit City Council when I was in Detroit. I'm not a Detroit native. I'm from Tennessee, but my husband was from Detroit, and we moved up. Well, I moved up there, and then we came back down here to plant a church. And of course, he's no longer here, but I'm here carrying on. Okay. And then I served on the Michigan Governor John Engler's Housing Task Force. I got awards for the HUD office while I worked there, extensive experience in mortgage administration and project development. So I have years and years of experience in housing and community development, 35 years. So I believe we have a great team. This is 3 of the board members here as we work together in order to provide safe, affordable senior housing and wraparound services to the Laverne community. And I just want to read an email that I actually received from Tony over at Woodbine, who developed the project on Old Nashville Highway. And it says, great talking to you yesterday as well, Brenda. It's been a long time. As mentioned, Mick and I had an opportunity to discuss your plans yesterday, and we are both looking forward to collaborating on this project. And that's it. So I'm open for questions at this point.
Anyone have any questions?
I do. I'm trying to think of, because I know there was, so now this is not the last time that this conversation was brought up, and I'll ask Bruce to correct me. The last time this conversation was brought up, it was brought up in some kind of legal status that the city could not do to our housing board, but this is not that, correct?
Well, the Housing Authority is a separate entity from the city. So we have no control over them whatsoever, except for appointing members or filling vacancies, that sort of thing. That's the only.
So legally, if we decide to do this, we can do it, correct?
They're a nonprofit 501c3.
Yeah, we have our legal,
Well, there was some,
I know.
yeah, you don't want to get into that.
No.
That's another issue. So,
Oh, I
you know,
forgot
I'm
to-
all about affordable senior living. It's too bad it's 60. I ain't hardly old enough.
Brenda, let me ask you, can you go into more detail about wraparound services?
Yes, I know 54 has taken over that contract with the senior citizens, and so I've researched them extensively to look at all the services that they offer, and so we want to fill that void for our seniors. For example, a lot of seniors deal with scams, particularly if they're homeowners, et cetera, but we would work with them to put them with a HUD-approved housing counseling agency that would help them work out some type of arrangement that was affordable to them so that they wouldn't fall prey to different scams or whatever. So what we want to do is to fill the gap, which the 54 people are not. So some of those services, you know, if they needed food, if they needed clothing, you know, whatever types of services, you know, that seniors might need. And it could be, you know, to get their lawn, you know, cut, you know, different volunteer groups who could come and do things like that. So we want to help them because, you know, the aging process, it's difficult, and especially, you know, if you've lost a spouse or whatever. So we want to fill in that gap by providing those support services to help them in their time of need.
Okay,
Oh, can I say one more thing?
absolutely.
Okay. On that second page, I just want you all to look at the advances that we have made in 1 year. And I just want to just make sure. We have gotten the bylaws completed to govern the housing board, which was not done. Our mission statement was completed, the logo was completed, and you see that on your report. That's our logo that we did. The business plan, not the prospectus, but the business plan has been completed. The bank account has been opened. We obtained our 501c3 nonprofit status, which allows us to apply for funds wherever. We have an advisory board that's established, and mentors have been identified. We have been meeting on a regular basis. The site research has been initiated. Partnerships have been established with local banks and other entities. Funding sources have been identified for senior housing and support services.
I remember whenever I came in as mayor, there was a housing authority in name only, because y'all had never met.
Because we couldn't find our chairperson. Yeah, COVID hit, and plus the person who was the chairperson, which I wasn't at that particular time, nobody could find her, right, Bruce?
And then,
I don't remember who it was.
Exactly.
Well,
And so we couldn't meet because she wouldn't meet, so we couldn't meet. And then COVID hit, so, you know, we're just getting back together, really.
and the resolution you have that was signed back then by then Mayor Mike Webb, that was 2000, year 2000. So that's definitely too long. Can you go into, when it comes to your budget, you've got 20,000 for project planning and site control. Can you give me some detail on that?
Yes, we're looking at, of course, if you're developing any project, you know that you've got to do project plans. There are architectural things that you have to do, feasibility analysis. I know 20,000 isn't enough to secure a site, of course, unless it's donated.
Everyone keeps looking at Gary for that. Gary, are you sitting on land?
Well, you know, it's gonna be an advantage to the community, but the project planning actually is what the dollars that we're gonna need in order to do some of the mechanics of the site, including, you know, like feasibility analysis, project plan, you know, what we have to do with codes and whatever. So we just estimated based on input from our advisory board, how much that would probably cost. And then, I'm not going to say anything unless you ask me a question. Go ahead.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
So you got some ideas that you can't, I'm sure you can't share them as far as location. You got some financial backers.
Yes, we got to get that land. That's going to be the key. Everything is driven by the land. So we are just, you know, just like, you know, we're trusting, when I was before you before and we didn't have our 501c3 and we were just needing money. It just so happened that a developer, which I believe it was the Lord, had a developer watching the night we were presenting. And I didn't call him, didn't know him, never heard of him, but he came the next day and he said, I just heard about what you all wanted to do. We really believe that there's such a need for senior housing that I'm going to pay for that 501c3 myself. I want you to stay in contact with us and we're going to help you as much as we can.
Any other questions?
So you mentioned the senior lady earlier. That
Yes.
was on Facebook and stuff. Is there anything that you all have available now that should something happen? And then, once again, the lady was autistic,
Yes.
so but I mean, it was up to her also to do whatever, you know, because she was an adult. But is there anything now, if we find somebody that is willing to accept the help, that you all could offer now?
We'd have to place her in a shelter. And unfortunately, Rutherford County doesn't have enough shelters either. We have one, I think the Victory House here, but every time I call, they're always full. But there's just a need for shelter. Now, Nashville, they just built a brand-new women's shelter, and so we've actually, to be honest, we've been sending them down there. because there's no other place. And, shelter is that's another whole narrative right there. But right now, for the Housing Authority, we just want to focus on building affordable senior housing and providing services to our senior community.
Well, I have to say, I was just comment is from the first time that you came before us until this time, as far as all of this, you've upped your game.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, team. We upped our game. I couldn't do this alone.
Any other questions? Thank you, Brenda.
All right, you're welcome.
Next, we're going to go to Thriving Together.
Good evening. I'm Carrie Niederhauser, and I'm the Executive Director for Thriving Together Tennessee. We are a newly formed nonprofit as well, and we created the nonprofit so that we could serve the children and families in Rutherford County. So currently, I am the Safe Baby Court Coordinator for Rutherford County. We started that program in 2020, right before COVID hit. And so I developed that program from the ground up. I've been a social worker for 20 years in Rutherford County primarily. I spent a short time in Davidson County. But I've worked with children and families in all of Rutherford County, been in Laverne lots and lots and lots of times to serve these families. Our goal is to keep families and children together in their communities. So we currently serve families that are involved with the Department of Children's Services and the juvenile court system. So we go in and we look at what DCS has asked mom or dad or whomever to do, and we assist them in getting those tasks completed. So whether that is getting into some therapy programs, getting into a substance treatment facility, because right now, currently 100% of my cases involve some sort of substance use, whether that be alcohol or fentanyl. It runs the gamut. So these children are not placed with their family members, they are placed with their family members, just not in a foster care setting. So in addition to serving mom, dad, and the children, we're also serving the grandparents and even the great-grandparents that have these children. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar how that works. When Department of Children's Services comes out and removes children, they pick up the phone, they call someone, and you take them right then. You don't get to go to a class, you don't get financial support, you don't get a whole lot of support. We've all seen kind of the state of the child welfare system. I worked in the child welfare system for 10 years, so lots of experience in what can be done, what should be done to assist families. Unfortunately, it's just not being done. So the Safe Baby Court program is currently up and running. We will take over the funding for that program. We kind of branched off from where we are now. We'll take over that funding on January the 1st of 2025. We have to wait for the current contract to end, and that contract is run through the Department of Mental Health. So we get funding specifically for that program. So in developing the nonprofit, we are going to basically expand the Safe Baby Court program, because Safe Baby Court, you have to have a child age 0 to 3 to get in the program. If you have a 5-year-old and no child age 0 to 3, you don't qualify. So we want this service to be out there for everyone. We want to work with children that just are above that age limit. They want to be back with mom and dad as well. Mom and dad want the same help that we give the services to for the small children. So we are writing grants currently to develop that program. We're calling it Family Forward, so that we can incorporate those. We've co-written a grant with another nonprofit in town that can provide the supervised visitation services that families need. Oftentimes they can only see their families if they have someone to supervise those visitations. So there's a service in Murfreesboro that will provide that, and we've co-written that grant with them so that we can provide the case management, and also we provide certified peer services. So through our Safe Baby Court, we have what's called a certified peer. This is a lady that has her own history in addiction, her own history with her children being removed from her care. And she has regained custody, or not really custody, it's a long story on that situation, but she has her son back in her home. She also has been in recovery for many years. She provides a level of support to our families that I can't provide. I don't have that history. I can't walk up to mom or dad and say, I know where you've been, because I don't. I've not been there. But I have the history in social work background. I have a master's in social work. I've worked in the child welfare field, like I said, for 20 years. So we are developing these programs. We have got other programs that we'd like to develop as well. But we're asking for money just so that we can, during this implementation phase, we can start these services. What questions do you guys have for me?
Where are you based out of?
So currently, we have no physical location. We will provide these services with that, once we get that funding, with that other location in Murfreesboro that has the visitation services. I provide my Safe Baby Court services out of an office in Murfreesboro, close to kind of downtown, near the court area.
I must say, that's pretty cool that you do that for these kids.
Well, thank you.
You know,
I really enjoy it.
How big of a footprint do you have here in the city?
So we take cases all over the county, so it doesn't matter where you live. So I've had multiple families from the Laverne area. Off the top of my head, I don't have those specific numbers, but it really just kind of depends on who DCS gets involved with, is where they, because it could be anywhere at any time. It could be Laverne, it could be Smyrna, it could be Murfreesboro, it could be just kind of wherever that family resides. And then also, even if they don't reside here currently, we have families that move around. We're looking for housing options for mom and dad, and sometimes those housing options tend to be Laverne. It's a little bit, I think, more affordable. I know everyone's saying it's very expensive, but versus living in the city of Murfreesboro, sometimes our families have better luck out in Laverne finding housing.
What other fundraising do y'all do besides this, of course?
So like I said, we're very new. But we have done some general, like friends and family, meetup, kind of, we're having a Christmas party. You come and you donate to my Christmas party, kind of deal. But we have also done a beauty pageant for children that raised some funds for our Safe Baby Court families. And then just looking at additional funding. We haven't had a big fundraiser yet just because we're so new and we haven't had the specific need just yet.
Okay.
So
Any other
you
questions?
keep saying we. Who are we?
So currently it's myself. I'm the volunteer executive director right now, but I will be a paid executive director once we obtain the funding. And then also I have this certified peer that will move over with that grant funding for Safe Baby Court when we take that over January 1. And then looking at those additional programs, we'll hire additional employees.
How will they get paid?
So with that grant funding that we're writing, and then obviously our fundraising that we'll be doing, we'll pull in additional. The Safe Baby Court is a state appropriated fund, so we get money specifically just for that program that pays for those salaries and those things that the families need and the rent on that. So that will be additional.
Have you gone to the other cities in Rutherford County?
Not yet. I am so new, and this one popped up, and so those are on my list to do. I know I probably have missed that opportunity this go around, but they will definitely be on my list for the next time.
Any other questions?
So like the cities, have you gone to the county? The Rutherford County Commission also?
Not yet.
So
Like I
that's
said,
on your
I
list
think I
for-
missed the opportunity, the dates to file for this year, so we'll pull around for next year. But we did write for the United Way grant, and then also looking at the opioid funding opportunity for some of those programs.
So like I said, that's pretty cool that you do that. I commend you for it. So let's say that do you get a phone call from DCS or do you get a phone call from a parent? How does it start that you end up with the child?
Yeah. So the Department of Children's Services, when they place a child in a relative's home that's in that age range that we serve, they send every petition that they file in court to me if it is in that age range. And then I reach out to the department and kind of gauge their interest if they feel like the family's been cooperative. Because it is a voluntary program. Families don't have to go into the Safe Baby Court program. And then I call the families and talk to them about the programs. And most of the time they say, yes, absolutely, I'll take additional support. I want help getting my children back in my care. I want to get clean. I want to, address whatever issues are going on in their lives. And then we start working right away. We work with Judge Lampley in Murfreesboro through the juvenile court. He's the judge that presides over our Safe Baby Court.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Interesting.
Now, the last one that we had was the Rutherford County Regional Forensics Center. I know we had a lot of conversation about that. I spoke with Mayor Carr earlier this week, and he has actually withdrawn this request. He's also withdrawn his requests from the town of Smyrna and from the city of Murfreesboro. So he is not here to speak on that tonight. Now, I believe we're going to move into capital. Bruce, I think that makes it part of your show.
Show, huh? I've handed out the updated capital list. There's not really a lot of changes. I don't know if you have any questions there. For general fund, the total of new request is $3,036,000 amongst all the different departments. As you go through State Street Aid, drug fund, equitable sharing, like I said, nothing has really changed through all of those. Under stormwater, we did make a change for the fund balance items. If you look at, this is on page 3, at the bottom, for the Public Works facility, we did change the allocations for this year, for 24-25 and for 25-26. Due to the amount of money that is in the fund balance, we don't want to totally drain it, so that we can still operate that fund properly. And then, let's see, page 4, you've got streets, capital projects, parks, and then fire impact fee. Nothing has changed on those. And the last page there again is water and sewer fund. Nothing has changed there that I can think of. You will be possibly getting a request for the water treatment plant to purchase a total organic carbon analyzer. So that may be able to be funded out of this fiscal year. So if that's the case, this will come off of this capital list for next year. And then that's really all the changes that I've got at this point.
Does anyone have any questions about the capital? Bruce, what do you think the odds are of that of the talk coming through for this budget year?
Well, like I said, it's planned to be on the agenda for your next meeting. Here next week, we'll discuss it. The proposal had some terms and conditions that Evan was not too excited about, so it'll be on the agenda for your approval if you want to move forward with that. So that we'll see after the next meeting.
If you do approve it, it should be in and installed. Danny, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it should be installed before the end of the fiscal year if y'all approve it.
30 days. Okay. Any other questions?
On the salaries, do the salaries reflect what Andrew was working on for the equitable?
Currently in the budget, of course, we have the pay study increases that have been recommended.
Okay.
A 3% increase. I know a question was asked last time, what that cost would be if we went to 6%. And that would be an additional just under $564,000 if we added the additional 3%. We don't have that specifically in revenues, so if the board wants to do that, we've got to cut that much out to make that happen. So there again, that's a board decision.
Any other questions? Ms. Phyllis, you got anything for us?
If we want to talk about water sewer fund.
Briefly.
Yeah, it won't take long, but kind of update us as to where we are with that in the study.
We, over the last few years, we've seen a significant increase in cost of materials, meters, benefits, wages, supplies. When we put together this year's budget, our revenues are not covering all of our expenses. We're short about $1.5 million. Last year, we were very, very close as far as revenues covering expenses, to the point where when we submitted the budget, the comptroller's office said, y'all need to look at doing a rate study because apparently your rates are not sustainable to cover your expenses. So you guys passed a resolution to start the rate study, and we've had a MTS representative working on that. We met with her several times. Most recently, last week, we met with her. She had put together a couple scenarios. She has not shared all of that with us yet. We briefly discussed a couple of things. She was going to go back to the office and put together some documentation to support different scenarios as far as rate increases and how it can help us cover our expenses and cover any of the capital requests that we've had, and cover any bond issues that we will need to have to cover some projects. With that being said, we had anticipated a hearing from her yesterday. We did not, and we heard from her today, and she said it looks like it's going to be another week before she finishes the rate study and can provide us with some good data that we can bring before the board. So I think Bruce has talked about having another workshop. If we do get the data before next Thursday's Mayor Alderman workshop, we'll have a conversation at that workshop. If we don't, then we're going to have some additional workshops during the month of May in order to get a first and second reading of the budget before the end of June. So that's where we're at right now, is waiting on our MPES rep to finish the rate study and evaluate and bring before the board the suggestions that she's going to recommend.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, at this point, we're not able to present a budget for first reading because of the water and sewer and not having that rate study. So we may have to wait until June, the regular June meeting, to have first reading, and then have a special meeting towards the end of the month to pass the budget on second reading. So we're kind of at the mercy of the rate study at this moment, and making the decisions as far as what we're going to do for that.
Yeah, essentially, general fund is done. It's the water sewer fund specific to the water rates is the big concern area.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. And then what Bruce handed out to everybody is the fee schedule, which we've established so that everyone can review it. One thing I will note for everyone, if you look at the second page, you will see the different impact fees, and you'll see the progression in those, and then we built in that provision, I believe last year, to index them with inflation, and so you'll see that reflected in here as well.
And that reflects.
I believe I got that sheet.
Did you hand them down?
Oh,
The construction cost index that the mayor just mentioned is calculated that the other day, and it's a 2.28% increase. So that's what we're proposing, to increase those impact fees by, and rounded to the nearest whole dollar. So you can see those numbers there. Again, the next workshop and meeting, there'll be a resolution to approve that. And then, of course, we'll make those changes to the fee structure through the budget process and put into effect for July 1st.
And then Bruce, I haven't followed up on this, but this may be something to look into with some of the court fees, but I know the state was tossing around increasing some of the penalties from $50 a day, just because it's been set to that for more than a decade, and we all live and breathe in inflation now. So I would say, can we check that to see if it passed, and if it has, make any proper adjustments for July 1st?
Yes, I'm not aware that it has been changed. If I remember correctly, the proposed legislation was up to $3,000 instead of $50, so that's obviously a humongous change. But I don't believe it has been approved yet.
Speeding would drastically decrease, I bet.
It could.
Not that Chief ever hears about that at all, right?
Never.
So if the water and sewer deal doesn't get back to us in time, and it's, can we pass this part of the budget and then do a resolution to the other one, or does it have to go all in at once?
If you'll remember, the current year budget that we're in right now, the board approved it, we sent it to the state, and the comptroller's office approved it conditionally. And it was based on the condition that we do a rate study and put that into effect for the next budget. Because if we continue down the path that we're on now, we're going to be losing money over the next few years, and that's not allowed by the state. So we have to put that rate study into place, into the budget, in order to get the comptroller's office to approve our next budget. So we can't really approve a budget without it. And you can't really approve fund part of it and not do the whole thing. So we have to do it all at one time.
So worst case scenario, it's okay if we're held up by them that we don't get the budget put in until?
No, I mean, it's not okay. You know, there are provisions in the state law that, you know, the existing budget would start back over essentially. But the comptroller frowns on that a whole lot. So
I was gonna say, I bet they frown on that.
So
we're hoping and praying that we can get the numbers soon, and obviously would love to get the first reading in May, but if we have to wait till June, obviously that puts it on a tight schedule for approval.
So would that be Phyllis's fault if it don't make it?
No, I can't blame Phyllis for that one.
No, we blame Juliet for that. But Bruce did reach out to the consultant today and essentially gave her a deadline that we absolutely have to have this back by. And that would still allow us to pass a budget this fiscal year. For the next fiscal year, we would just do it similar to how I believe when I was an alderman, we did a special meeting for the budget, because it was, I believe at that point, it was whenever you were mayor, Dennis, and Calvin and I were the only two other board members. But it would be a beginning of June board meeting. We would do first reading, and then at the June 27th workshop, we would have a special meeting and have the second reading. And so that would get it within compliance.
Yeah, if we don't pass a budget by a certain time, it automatically adopts last year's budget. In each meeting, we got to do a budget amendment for everything. It'd be a lot of.
Well, we've never had to do that.
No, we never had to do that.
I don't want to start now.
But yeah, if we don't, we got to get it approved, or we'll be in a boat without a paddle.
Yep.
But does anyone have any questions? I know you just got a hold of the fee schedule, but does anyone have any questions about it? If you don't right now, take it home, review it, read it, and if you have questions, send those over to Bruce. And he can instantly provide you an answer, right?
I don't know about instant, but I'll give it my best shot.
Hey, I called him about 8 o'clock a couple weeks ago. Johnny on the spot.
I
tried.
I've only sent one email at like 1 in the morning and gotten a 3 a.m. response, so nothing major. So, anyone have anything else? Miss Phyllis, Bruce?
So we're gonna We're gonna send our emails to,
Well, if
like
that's,
always,
Regarding the nonprofits, yes, if you'll
Yes.
send,
starting with nonprofits.
yes, you can, and anything on the fee schedule. Any questions you have, just send it to me
Who
and
we-
or Phyllis, and
Who we copying?
you can copy both of us.
You and Phyllis?
just not me.
Right, no other board members.
And I would say, look at the capital as well. If there's any changes you want to make in capital. And just look at what we have. And if something's going to increase, you need to figure out what needs to decrease.
Oh, that's no fun.
No fun, but that's living on a budget, so.
I know.
But anyone have any other questions?
So we don't, discuss nothing here now about the nonprofits, or just what our feelings are, thoughts, or?
Well, I would reach out to Bruce on those and Miss Phyllis, and sure, they'll get them all together. But I call this workshop adjourned.
You got it.